Alright, peace and greetings, YouTubers. So, welcome to another edition of In the News. Let's start off with Lindsay Lohan. Lindsay, what you doing? Like, I don't know if somebody told this girl she was going to get the key to the city or if they were going to name a day after her after all of this, but I'm just a little confused as to what she thought she was really going to successfully do. So before I even get to anything, let me just play the video. I've chopped it down a little bit so it doesn't have to be the full 2 or 3 minutes that it was. So let's go to it.
Michelle, tell me your story so I can help you. Do you want to watch movies? Yeah. It'd be so cool, right? To watch a movie on TV? Or a computer? Yeah? Let's go. Let me take them. Let them sleep. Come with me. You and me come. Just come. Just come with me. Not your husband. Just you and your kids. Look what's happening. They're trafficking children. Inshallah. I won't leave until I take you. Now I know who you are. Don't fuck with me. Give me your hand. Give me your hand. I'm like in shock right now. And they were trying to run to me, and I'm just like so scared. I literally can't.
Lindsay, why? You know, I feel that her heart could have possibly been in the right place, but the problem is her perception and her perspective of different groups of people that she sees and encounters is so clouded by her own viewpoints that she already had the wrong assumption about that family. And for her to think that she had the authority to tell some random people who don't know her, they might not have even known that she was a celebrity, because I think she felt that because she was Lindsay Lohan, they were going to stop, drop, and roll because she said so. Like, you know, to think that you're going to be able to get people to just randomly give you their children because you said so. Like, I don't know how that works. And where were you going to take the child? Like, y'all, where were y'all going? You know what I mean? Like, the thing about human trafficking and everything like that, there are agencies and stuff that deal with that. So, you know, if you really want to make and implement that change, you know, work and collaborate with one of those agencies. You know, go on the Hill and try to fight for policy to be, you know, put into place and everything like that. I don't know what kind of luck you're going to get with the Congress we got right now. But, you know, you can't go out of your way chasing and bothering people. And then she's over here talking with, you know, somebody said she sounded like Borat on Twitter. I was like, y'all playing, man. Y'all playing. I'm not doing this with y'all today. But I'm like, Lindsay, no. And then the worst part, Laura, when they pop her upside the head and she start crying, I said, you know what, see, y'all want to be so down and be ready to pop off until it's time to be down and ready to pop off. Like, I don't get it. Like, she really thought she was Chris Tucker looking for Ricky Tan, looking for Mr. Juntao in Rush Hour and Rush Hour 2. I don't know what she thought she was doing. But see, Lindsay, the other thing is, like, Lindsay, you were like, she's by herself. And you out here chasing some random people. This is how people go missing. You already a white woman. Y'all the first ones to go missing every time. White women, I'm sorry, don't take it the wrong way. But listen, every time I turn on the news, it's always a group of y'all that go to Greece or Cancun or something, and one of y'all don't make it back. And I mean that in a loving manner, but I'm just saying, when people do things like what Lindsay did, that's how folks go missing. You know what I mean? Like, use your common sense. You don't know them people from jump. You just can't be walking up, and people are protective of their children. You know what I mean? And like I said, I feel her heart was in the right place. She was trying to do the right thing, but you got to be smart about your execution. You just can't be doing any and everything. Like, come on, man. Damn. You know, see, like, she's the reason folks be getting killed in the horror movies. You know what I mean? Every time I watch a horror movie, there's always 3 or 4 people that get killed because somebody like Lindsay Lohan messed up everything. You know, prime example, I always think of the movie Quarantine. Quarantine has to be the only suspense, horror, scary film I've ever watched where I cannot find a way for the lead characters to get out alive. And so in that movie, like, long story short, the movie's about like this journalist who goes and she's supposed to follow the firefighters while they do their daily duties. And so they go to this house. Turns out the house is contaminated and everybody in the house is turning into zombies and everything. And so they all get quarantined in the house and they can't go outside the house or they will be shot and killed immediately by the authorities. And so they have to stay in the house. And the problem is everybody in the house who's getting bit is turning into this zombie. So everybody's dying. Everybody's just dying and crap. And so the girl in the movie, there were like 3 or 4 people that got killed trying to save her ass. Because every single time she would flip out and when it was time for her to be down and pop off, like I said, she couldn't ever do. and then they will run back to go save her. I'm sorry. Don't ever have me in a situation like that, because I'm sorry, I don't mean to be that terrible person, but somebody got to be alive to tell the news what happened. So I'm not about to be getting stabbed and eaten up and shot in the face because you want to trip over a tree branch. Hey, listen, when you trip, you better keep up with my pace, because by the time I make it to that car and lock that door, if you're not in it, I'm pulling off. I'm not waiting for you. I'm sorry, you shouldn't trip. If you trip, you better hop and come on. Like, damn, Lindsay. Hot mess. But on a more serious note, when it comes to human trafficking, I think we have this perception that it's only something that happens in foreign countries. We think that it's only happening on the continent of Africa. We think it's only happening in Southeast Asia. We think it's only happening in South Asia, regions like India and Pakistan and stuff like that. But in reality, it's happening right in our own backyard. And so I've been kind of like working with different organizations and everything like that. And one organization that's really good, they're called justaskprevention.org. Well, that's their website. But they give a lot. I feel my hair keeps fucking like coming down. It's annoying. I'm about to chop this crap off, I swear. But anyway, justaskprevention.org. It's a really great organization. And what they do is they pretty much try to educate people about human trafficking and how it has many forms. Because people always assume it's just, them taking children and shipping them off to this country, this, that, and third. Human trafficking has so many forms in 2018. It's crazy. Like, a lot of people, their children are victims of human trafficking and they don't even know it. Some of these kids and these teenagers who are victims of human trafficking, they're still coming home every day. They're still coming home every day by 5 or 6 o'clock, and the mother and father have no idea that, between the hours of 2 and 5 or 2 and 6, that's when they're doing whatever it is that they have to do according to who's making them do what they do. And it's to the point where a lot of the recruiters who are recruiting these kids, they're using other kids to recruit and do some of the dirty work. And the thing with human trafficking is there's so many layers. Sometimes it's prostitution, sometimes it's selling drugs. It's a bunch of different things. And so it's not just the vision that Lindsay Lohan thought she saw, where it's the random refugee family with the 2 children and they just look suspicious because they're sitting on the side of the curb at 2 in the morning, so they must be trafficked, and there must be a van around the corner getting ready to roll everybody up out of there. But it's getting to the point where human trafficking has so many forms. Like, even in the area I live in, like the DMV, that's one of the top areas for human trafficking right now, especially Fairfax County. In Prince William County, Virginia, and mind you, that's white picket fence, 2.5 children and a nice puppy territory. And like, I met a mom who, her daughter met somebody at the mall that was like their age, and the mother had no idea that for a year and a half her daughter was being trafficked. But her daughter was coming home every day. Like, her daughter would still be at home, and what she noticed is things were a little different. The daughter's behavior changed. The daughter had another cell phone that she didn't buy. The daughter had an attitude all the time. The daughter's behavior was really spontaneous. And the problem was the daughter also got hooked to drugs. I think it was heroin she got hooked on and everything like that. And then that's how the person was able to kind of keep and manipulate her as well, because she became dependent on that heroin. And so the person that was kind of trafficking her and everything like that pretty much was like, you need to do what I say if you want to continue to get your fix. And something like heroin has such a high, it's extremely addictive. People will do any and everything to support their habit. And so it took them a long time to figure out what was going on. And when they finally figured it out, the poor girl, she's still dealing with, she's still back and forth with rehab. They're still doing therapy. And mind you, this happened 5 or 6 years ago. It's still affecting that family. And there's other families who have different examples as well, where, they thought their daughter or their son had a girlfriend or a boyfriend, and they were just hanging with their girlfriend or boyfriend all the time. When in reality, no, they were over here doing whatever they had to do under the guise of who, they were being trafficked under. And so with human trafficking, there's so many different elements and so many layers of how it operates. So, if you want more information about it, so I think like justaskprevention.org is a great organization. Of course, humantraffickinghotline.org, and they also have a hotline. Like, check all of that out. Even if you have a teenager and you are just a little suspicious of things, there's certain behavioral patterns that you can kind of notice where you might see something. So like I said, again, having a cell phone that you didn't purchase, but your child has one, and they don't work, or they don't have enough to support having a phone, things like that. Social media can get them caught up as far as like figuring out or noticing that, they're on social media talking to a lot of people that, don't look like people that they normally would run with, different things like that. Even with if their phone rings or something like that, and they always have to run to a different room. But back in the day, they used to get on everybody's nerves and talk on the phone while the whole family was watching TV. Now they go upstairs, so they talk really quietly or go to another room. Or they always have a sense of urgency if they're getting ready to go somewhere. Or they don't want to share the details about what it is that they're doing. Or you've just seen like a really whole, like a mood swing or a mood switch. Like, there's a bunch of different triggers. So like I said, human trafficking has so many layers. There is the aspect of people being shipped off and taken to different places and stuff like that. But a lot of it is changing forms. And as a matter of fact, I was reading something. I don't know if this is still the same because we're under a new administration now. But I remember under the Obama administration, that was one of the things that they were trying to really tackle, because human trafficking was starting to become a bigger business than drug trade. Like, it's almost more profitable than drugs at this moment. And so they were trying to figure out a way to manage that and how to combat it. So I don't know if the Trump administration is still doing that. I really honestly don't know. But that's that. So Lindsay, just common sense, please. You got to be careful. And and some people may take my little jokes about the white women being kidnapped as offensive, but the problem is just people got to understand that everybody does not operate how you think they're going to operate, and you never know what kind of person you're dealing with. So it is very, very foolish to put yourself in a situation where you're out here in a foreign country, a country you don't even live in. You don't know the laws. You don't know how nothing over there works. If something were to happen to you, like, listen, the whole world is not going to stop to come and rescue you. Now, I know the current president, allegedly, he's real cool with Russia, so maybe he can call in a favor or something. But my thing is, like, you got to use common sense when you're trying to do things. And for you to want to make positive change, like I said, work with an agency, work with people who know what they're doing, work with people who that's within the scope of their employment. You know what I mean? Like, don't be trying to be a hero, because she certainly wouldn't have went I'm not even going to try to be stereotypical, but she certainly wouldn't go into certain neighborhoods and try that crap with somebody. I'm just saying, I don't know. And it's so crazy because there's so many people who really believe that they are in a position to dictate what other people should do, even if they're not in a position of authority. And it's the funniest thing. And now I think into some context, there are moments when that is appropriate, but a lot of times people are doing it when it's not even warranted, and it's more so problematic. You know, people that, like, I feel like you call those people like the Citizens Arrest Brigade. You know, these are the people that will go out and they will take the law into their own hands when they think the law is being broken. Mind you, they done committed every crime in the world, but they see somebody else doing something and they want to go and try to arrest somebody. I wish somebody would. Like, I wish somebody would have me pinned down outside of Safeway next to the shopping carts because they think I done stole some milk. Like, what? First of all, I'm lactose intolerant. Fall back. That made me fall, get my shirt all dirty and stuff. Now I got to go home and change. You owe me $5, by the way, for that nonsense, because I got to drive all the way back home and then go to where I was going. You know what I mean? Like, Lindsay, and like I said, I feel like our heart was in the right place to an extent, but it's just like, no, bad execution. Lindsay, make your movies. You stick to making movies, because honestly, I think Lindsay's a pretty dope actress. I enjoyed a lot of the movies she's been in, but you should have just been making your movies. Just like old boy from Papa John's who done messed up all of his money. You know, you should have just been making your pizza. You should have just been rolling that dough to make that dough. But instead, you wanted to start and jump right into the whole NFL Colin Kaepernick race conversation, and now look what happened. You done messed yourself up. You should have just been making your pizza. Lindsay, go on and do your movies. Nobody, there's no reason for you to be over here trying to chase down families and stuff at 2 a.m. You trying to get killed. Anyway, and then there's Will Smith. I see he celebrated his 50th birthday by bungee jumping into the Grand Canyon. Kudos to him, because I couldn't do it. Like, listen, I'm not really afraid of too much, but there's 3 things I don't really mess with. Roaches, especially the ones that fly, uncontrolled heights, and back in the day, Candyman, the movie, used to have me shook. Like, shook. I'm still scared to say that crap in the mirror, to be honest. I'm not even taking chances. But, you know, I couldn't do it. When I say uncontrolled heights, I'm talking about, like, being in a position where you're at a really high altitude and you're moving and you're not in control of that movement. So like being on a plane, stuff like that be messing me up sometimes. Especially if I'm on like a small plane and you can hear the engine, because there's nothing more traumatizing than when you hear that engine slow down. When you're on a plane, you just hear, I'm like, oh shoot, is the plane turning off? Is it turning off? Are we good? We good? Because them little planes just be getting tossed, and I can't do it, man. I hate it. I hate whenever I gotta fly to a smaller city and get on one of those puddle jumper planes, because that plane, it's like, I don't know, it's like the plane is sensitive or something. It's like as soon as somebody hiccups, the plane just, I'm like, no, nope. So that and roaches. But he's bold. I think it's kind of cool. I always think it's kind of cool when people go and do like these really crazy, spontaneous things for their milestone birthdays. I couldn't do it though. Bungee jumping is too close to lynching for me, and it'd be just my luck that the rope would snap when I go do it. So yeah, I don't know if I would do that. But yeah, them uncontrolled heights, that's the thing that has me shook. And if you watch the video, like he's in the helicopter and they go, I'd be thinking about too much stuff. Like, I don't know, is the helicopter, did they have enough fuel? You know, is the wind gonna blow the thing some way? You know, is the core not measured the right way? I'm gonna hit my head on a rock and then get swung back up and then hit the helicopter, and then it's like, no, too much, couldn't do it. It was like this time I went to Kings Dominion, this big amusement park in Virginia, and I talked about this in my podcast in like the Howard University freshman episode, but long story short, was with a group of people. One of the girls that was in the group, I kind of had a thing for at the time, and I didn't want to look like a punk. And at the time, I used to never get on rides. I used to never get on any kind of rides. And I thought hanging or having her in this group with us, I thought she was gonna be like the girly girl and not get on nothing. You know, maybe do some bumper cars. You know, she might do the swing ship. I can do the swing ship. No, this girl went on everything that could shoot you upside down and inside out. Every roller coaster wheels on. Some roller coaster shot out of a volcano. I was losing my mind. And then she wanted to go on this ride, the drop tower. It's like one of those rides that just, it goes straight up, drops straight down. Like, I was like, you lost your mind. But I went on it. And then, like, after I went on that, for some reason, I was never really afraid of, like, rides and stuff again. So I went to King's Dominion again in, like, 2014. And me and a different group of friends were like, yeah, let's get on the drop tower. And I'm like, yeah, let's get on the drop tower. Yeah, can't wait. And I was like, God, please let it start raining so we ain't got to get on this crap. Wouldn't rain. We get on this ride. I don't know if you've ever been on a ride like the drop tower, but like, first of all, they go up slowly most of the time. So we just keep going up and going up. And then I kept thinking we were at the top. And every time I would look up, there'll be like 10 more miles of pole to go. I'm like, God, how we gonna go? So finally we're at the very top. I can see all of Virginia. I can probably see DC too. And man, we're just sitting there. And I'm like, when does this thing drop? Like, my eyes are already closed because I'm ready to get down to the ground. I'm already envisioning myself getting off the ride and walking and doing something quiet. And the ride breaks down while we're stuck up there. And we end up having to sit up. I don't know how tall that ride is. I'm guessing it's 300, 400, 500, 600 feet or some crap like that. We're sitting up there for at least 30 minutes. And the worst part is, if you've ever lived in the South or lived anywhere where there's humidity and the temperature is higher than 95 degrees at night, there's always lightning at night. And so I'm sitting. I can see storms off in the distance. I'm seeing lightning bolts way off in the distance that will probably be in our area in like another 30, 40 minutes. And I'm just like, God, get us down. I just saw myself being fried up there. And I knew that's when I used to have all the juices and berries and stuff in my hair. So I know I would have caught fire if the lightning would have hit the pole. But, God, I mean, they literally had to manually like crank us down. And so, which I was relieved because I really didn't want to drop at that point because I was sitting up there so long, I got delirious. And so we like just leveled down like this. I was like, thank you, God. And then they got the nerve to want to give us a jump the line pass for all the other roller coasters. Nah, I ain't getting on nothing else up in here. I'm done. Anyway, I'm going way off topic. Let's move on, shall we? Then I see y'all president then went before that UN and embarrassed himself in the whole country, then went up there spewing out all them lies with confidence and got laughed at. That is embarrassing. Can we go to the clip?
In less than 2 years, my administration has accomplished more than almost any administration in the history of our country. America's so true. Didn't expect that reaction, but that's okay.
You know, the thing that makes that clip hilarious is that there are two waves of laughter. You have the people who just bust out laughing initially when they hear what he says, oh, and then you have the people who start laughing after the translator has finished talking and everything catches on. I'm like, yo, that's embarrassing. You got two waves of people laughing at you. I bet if it was up to him, he would have sanctioned every country in there that laughed. Everybody would have been sanctioned. But then Walmart and Amazon wouldn't have had nothing to sell. But man, I was just like, that's embarrassing. So, you know what I mean? Like, the world is caught on. And the thing about it is, I think Trump has created a world where he only places himself in environments where he can be celebrated and praised. And unfortunately, there are moments where he has to step outside of that environment. I think that's why he does so many rallies. Like, I don't know why he's still doing rallies. Like, you're not on the campaign. I need you to go and do some presidential stuff. Because it seems like if you're not doing the rallies, you're golfing. And then when you are in the office, actually no, keep golfing. I like it when you golf, because when you ain't doing nothing, I can sleep good. Okay, so go to Mar-a-Lago and do all the golf you want. You don't gotta even go back in that White House. You don't gotta go to that Oval Office ever again. You can golf for the next however long you in office. I'm cool with it. Stay out of the office and have your whole team, just all of them. None of them need to be around either. But you know, it seems like he's always doing these rallies, and I think he forgot that he wasn't at his rally. He was in front of a bunch of world leaders who have their own things that they're trying to manage. I think it's stupid to keep going in front of these world audiences and keep spewing this America first this, America first that. This is some global kind of stuff. They don't want to hear about why, you know, they don't want to hear about America this, America that. It would be like sitting there and you watch Switzerland go up there and Switzerland this, Switzerland that. Ain't nobody trying to hear that. Nobody wants to go and hear France say France this, only France, 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 France. Nobody wants to hear Greece do that. So I don't know why Trump thinks he can go in front of, you know, the UN Council and everything like that and keep spewing all this nationalist rhetoric. Save that for your rally. Save that for your campaign. The rest of the world is not thinking about us as much as we think about ourselves. You know what I mean? Anyway, that's that. Up there lying. Go, you know what? Since Sarah Huck could be Sanders up there too next time. Both y'all get laughed at together. Twiddle dee and twiddle dum. And then I do have to take some time to talk about this Brett Kavanaugh situation. It's so crazy because somebody literally got mad when I said my opinion, because I pretty much stated that I don't even know how there was even a conversation about going through with any nomination process once those accusations came out. Like, in my opinion, there shouldn't even be anything going forward until everything has been settled and cleared up. Otherwise, the conversation is off the table. No ifs, ands, or buts. Because if you're going to serve on the highest court, that means you're supposed to be the moral authority of this country. You're supposed to be the moral compass of this country and make decisions that are rational and logical and best fit for the well-being of everybody in this country. And if you don't even have the requirements of being a decent human being, then there's no conversation about you even being on the Supreme Court. No ifs, ands, or buts. Now, that's pretty much just saying, let the investigations take place. And I mean, somebody got so mad with that. And they're like, well, innocent until proven guilty, and da-da-da-da. And it's the Democrats. I was like, okay, you know, y'all are so wishy-washy, because this time, 2 years ago, when Barack was trying to put in his nominee, which I was not crazy over, because I was like, really, Barack? Of all the people you could have put on, that's who you want to put on? Okay, you still playing it too safe for my liking. But, you know, the narrative was, oh, we will not put any Supreme Court justices on because it's an election year. There's just too much going on in the country right now. And I'm like, hey, well, you know what? It's 2018. It's also an election year right now, and it's midterms. I think probably the most important election right now. So I like, hey, maybe we should postpone this one as well. But before I even get to Kavanaugh, something I noticed while I was watching this, as I'm watching the hearing, I'm just looking at everybody that's there and everybody that's speaking and everybody in charge. Everybody in there is so old. No disrespect to older people. Y'all know I love the old people. I'm an old soul myself. But I'm just looking. And I'm looking at all these people that are like in their 70s and 80s and faces done shriveled up. And some of them can barely talk because the implants and the orthopedics and stuff that they got in their mouth are messing up with how they're able to articulate the words and everything like that. And I just got to thinking, like, why would you want to be in a position of power like that at that age? You know, by the time I'm that age, I want to be living my best life. I don't want the stress of being in Congress or being president. Like, even when I think back to 2016 and I look at Hillary and I look at Donald and I look at Bernie, all of them were over 70. Well, Hillary was, I think, 69 and Donald was 69. I forgot. But, you know, they're all about 70 and some change. And it's like, at 70, the time that you should want to spend with your family, especially because 70 is that age where that's that last hurrah before you start getting sickly and broke up, and then, you know, things start going downhill for a lot of people. You know, that's that last hurrah where you're kind of in pretty decent health and you can spend that time with your wife or your husband or your kids or your grandkids and travel the world. And this is the time period where a lot of your friends are starting to get sickly and pass on and everything like that. And, you know, your time on earth is winding down. Why would you spend those precious moments doing some BS like trying to run a country? You know, what kind of stressful accommodate? Like, who does that? Why do you want to be in power? I was just sitting there looking at, and so many of them were all in the, just, I'm like, let it go. Go home. Go home. You about, not to be rude, but some of them people are 10 heartbeats away from the casket. You know, are you really going to be trying to stroke the pen all the way until you stroke out? Like, what? You kidding me? My God, I think that's why there's an issue with what happens in the country, because you have so many people who don't want to let go of power. So many people want to hold on to the bit of power that they got, that they're going to take that crap to the grave. And I really think that a lot of it comes from fear. I think there's some politicians who have done so much wrong that they know that if they ever give up that power, they're afraid that somebody else who becomes, you know, gets in that same position may do to them what they have voted for and done to other groups of people. I really believe that. And so I think some of them are running from karma. And then, and mind you, you know, even when you retire, you get out of the Senate and stuff like that, they're paid for life. They're set. They don't even have to work anymore. But I'm like, some of these people, 80 years old in the Senate, 80 years old in the House. And I'm like, why? Why? Some of them can't even sit down too long because the hemorrhoids are making the butt hurt. And they want to sit here and be in charge of stuff. What? My God. My God. I just know when I'm that age, I'm trying to live my best life. After I hit 70, and to me 70 is not really old. 70 is like that last hurrah before you become, like, to me old is not until you're really in your 80s. I feel like, because you, like, look, my example, Tina Turner 70 still spinning on her head in concert. Patti LaBelle 70 something, still going and doing concerts and everything like that. When Lou Rawls was still alive, he was 70 and still looked like he was 45. Like, you know, when I get to that age, I don't want to take on any unnecessary stress. And there's nothing more stressful than being a politician or being a president. Too much corruption, too much nonsense, too much repetitiveness, because it's like you're always on the campaign trail every 2 years. I don't know how they do it. Goodness. But anyway, going to Brett Kavanaugh, what I found so interesting in that situation was, did you guys just take a minute to watch his composure and watch how he kept just losing it quickly? He seemed so irrational to me and spontaneous. And I'm like, this is the person y'all want to put on the Supreme Court? Like, if you can't be rational enough to sit through a hearing, about some accusations that you're claiming you didn't do, I don't understand, how you're going to be able to be a judge. And I know he's already been working in the Court of Appeals and everything like that, but be a Supreme Court judge and you're making some extremely important decisions. There's tons of things that are on the line or on the chopping block or just in discussion right now. Whether it's abortion, whether it's stem cell research, it's the gun laws, it's affirmative action. There's so many different things that people are very attached to and people have very different viewpoints about. And you gotta be you gotta be centered in your headspace. And watching him just flip out and, hey, this is an attack on my family. And I'm like, you did all that in 20 minutes? And then I just automatically thought back to those kids who were a part of the Central Park 5 and how they were interrogated for 10, 11, 12, 13, some of them 14 hours straight. And they were 12 and 13 years old. And one of them was not even there. Like, he wasn't even at Central Park. He was just spending the night at his friend's house, and the police told him, oh, well, you can come along too with your friend and support him. And then he got interrogated. And those kids, I watched those kids stay here the whole time. And so you're watching a grown man who, if he didn't do it, I'm like, why are you so animated? Because I just noticed that with the kids I work with, whenever they've done something that they know they're not supposed to do, and I've caught them, and they're trying to still push the lie that they didn't do it, the way that, no, I didn't, especially like them 5 and 6 and 7 year olds, they get to crying, and I'm like, yeah, you did it. Go on in there and sit down. Go take 5 minutes and cool off. You go get a book. Go get a book and bring it to me. We're gonna read it together. You're gonna tell me about every character in this page. We're gonna bring you back to earth. Go get one of them science books. Like, the kids throw tantrums. So watching this grown man have a whole meltdown, and I'm like, see, that's just the epitome of when you're privileged and you're not used to being told no, or you're not used to being challenged. You're just used to always getting your way. Because even watching him give his whole statement, the fact that his opening statement is him talking about his childhood and, I worked hard and I busted my butt and I went to Yale with no help and no this, that, and the third. I'm like, yeah, you worked hard, but at the same time, one of your parents was a lobbyist, the other was a judge. You always had a foot in the door. Calm the hell down, okay? Calm down, okay? Don't be too naive to acknowledge the privilege you have, okay? Even me, I have some elements of privilege. I'm not rich. I don't have a really big financial background, but hell, I had 2 parents that were in the military and ended up working in the government. That worked in my favor for a few things. So to an extent, I have some privileges. In addition to being a man, there's a privilege there, all right? But anyway, he did all that, and then he has this big old tantrum, and then out of nowhere, Lindsey Graham jumps in, and this is something for him and his family, and have you gone through hell? And I'm like, y'all are so full of crap. You're really full of crap. And literally, it turned into an attack on the accuser, and the thing that makes it so funny is her story so far seems like it checks out. Literally, and there's so much tangible evidence that's against Kavanaugh at the moment based on just different things in the yearbook and that piece in the page with, his group of friends, and there was that girl at the school that, what did they say, the so-and-so club, they used her name, and pretty much the idea that it was inciting was that all of them had slept with her, allegedly, and everything like that. I'm like, he has just so many things working against him, and watching him have this whole meltdown, I'm like, yeah, he knows he's guilty. He knows, and it is what it is. But the thing about it, watching somebody like Lindsey Graham, I found so funny because they want this man in that seat so bad. And I really feel that they want him in the seat bad because they want to secure the fact that they have all of these different interests that they want to get locked in. And they know that if he can get on that Supreme Court, the Supreme Court is always going to favor, I'm not going to say favor the right, but it's going to be in favor of corporations and different things like that don't always quite interest the people because you have 2 of Trump's nominees in that mix. You know what I mean? Absolutely crazy. And the thing that gets me with all of that is, hold on one second. Okay, sorry, got nervous. I thought my audio wasn't recording. I was like, I know I didn't just say all this and then there was no audio on. Anyway, but they want to secure and make sure that their interests are locked in because when we really think about it, I don't think Trump thought he was going to win. I don't think Republicans thought Trump was going to win. They had already threw in the towel. They knew that it was a wrap. And then he won. And so for a lot of them who had all these really terrible interests, and I'm not trying to say every Republican is actually F all that, but for them, it was like, they were like, yo, we have a second chance to get a few more things in it. So now they're trying to cram and shove everything that they can get in and locked into place because they're trying to secure their lineage and their money and their check and make sure that their family's taken care of and that their corporate interests are taken care of and that their corporate buddies are taken care of. Now, the rest of us, it don't matter. But them, they want to get their folks in. And so rushing Kavanaugh in is exactly what that would do. It secures things, at least until most of those politicians die off, because most of them are all 60, 70 years old anyway. And that's really what that's about. And so you're watching all these people literally throw the country at stake just to hold on to that little piece of power, just to make sure that they can get their way. And that's really, really disturbing. Absolutely disturbing. But the thing that makes it even more scarier, let's just say they go ahead and they do this investigation and they say, Kavanaugh, it's not happening. You got to go. You're cut. I'm terrified of who the next person is going to be. You know, with Donald Trump, hell, he might have David Duke up there being the next nominee. Hell, David Duke going to have all of us counting jelly beans before we can vote. Absolutely crazy. And so with that entire thing, it's just interesting. And watching the male privilege that kicks in. These old ass 60-year-old white men who are literally trying to paint Kavanaugh out to be the victim. They vilified the woman. They vilified the other accusers. And we've watched it happen over and over and over. You watched it happen with Donald Trump have 16 accusers and he becomes president. You watch Moonves and everything go down. He's just now being held accountable after years and years and years of doing whatever it was he did. Weinstein, you know, like these people all have all these positions of power and they've been able to just maneuver and do whatever they want, and it's just absolutely crazy. And I think this is why you have women who don't come forward, because when they come forward about things that have happened, this is how they get treated. I always tell people to look at it as if, pretend if you were a man and it was on your end and you as a man had to go and report that this happened to you. As a man, a lot of people are going to laugh at you just because they're going to assume, oh my God, you must be super weak. How the hell didn't you handle that? You know, so imagine the same shame that most men would feel or have if they were in that position. And there's a lot of men who are in that position, you know, that don't go and talk because this is what happens. You get ridiculed. And so the woman has to be vilified by all the media. And who was the dude that was stupid enough on Fox News to call the woman a skank or something and get fired? So he forgot he was black and thought he could get away with some of the privileges that white men get away with on Fox News. They handled him. He should have took a note from Stacey Dash when she said whatever she said about Obama. She got suspended too. Listen, y'all can be a mouthpiece for white supremacy, but you don't get the privileges of white supremacy. You just do the job they tell you to do, and you sit down and be quiet if you're going to go that route. That's all I'm saying. Idiots. Anyway, so that's that. I don't know what's going to happen with that whole situation, but seeing how this country is, hell, he'll probably be right on that Supreme Court. And if he doesn't get up there, Trump's going to have somebody 10 times worse anyway. He's going to show us. Moving on. The last thing I want to talk about, definitely shout out to, well, it's not really a shout out, but more so Barbados. I see y'all. I saw that, you know, they've been having some really crazy weather patterns and a lot of really bad flooding over there. So everybody in Barbados, just be careful. I know a lot of you guys follow me who are from Barbados. So shout out to Barbados. It's crazy. I didn't realize I had so many people in the Caribbean who follow me. Like there's people from Anguilla. There's people from St. Thomas. Even there's somebody from Montserrat, which I think is really cool because I didn't really know people still lived there, because I remember they had the big volcanic eruptions in the 90s and everything like that, and a lot of people left the island. I didn't know people still lived there, so that's kind of cool. But yeah, I have people all over the Caribbean, so all of you guys be careful out there. And then also same with the people in Indonesia. Please be careful. You know, they have a lot of seismic activity. They had the earthquake and the tsunami over there, and it's crazy. Indonesia, that has to be a tough place to live because they're affected by so many natural disasters, whether it's typhoons and hurricanes or earthquakes or volcanoes or tsunamis. I'm like, dang, y'all just get it all. Japan kind of gets that as well, but Japan has the infrastructure to kind of handle and manage those kind of things. But man, that's tough world we live in. I always say, if you get the luxury of living your full life without ever having to really worry about natural disasters, consider yourself blessed. You know what I mean? Consider yourself lucky, because that's not everybody's experience around the world. Anyway, this video has been long. I am out. Subscribe, share your 2 cents.